Good morning, everyone, especially to our professor, Dr. Luzminda G. Machete. So, this morning, I'm going to present to you my curriculum design. So, the title of my curriculum is New Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education Curriculum. So, curriculum overview. So, the mother tongue-based multilingual education is a program where the medium of instruction is the mother tongue or the first language of the learners. So, ani sa ato, ang atong mother tongue is Bisaya man. So, that is our first language. In the teaching learning process, both the teacher and the learners use the mother tongue in explaining the lesson. So, like for example, si teacher is mag ayang lesson is about sa English. Then ang iyang gamiton nga kanang language is ang Bisaya because that is our mother tongue. Then, the purpose of this curriculum is to help the students in grade 1 to easily know, learn, and comprehend the mother tongue-based subject by implementing and introducing new ways of teaching styles and strategies in order for the students to learn and comprehend the mother tongue-based multilingual education in an easier and effective way. Learners will have stronger foundation in their mother language before having additional languages. So with this new curriculum, learners can contribute more to the enrichment and development of our cultural and historical heritage. So there are a lot of issues man sa pag-implement sa mother tongue. So this curriculum nga ang gihimo is a revised curriculum sa mother tongue. Then, learning outcomes. So learners are expected to have essential knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes to continuously develop themselves to the fullest. Identify the different mother tongue languages of the students from English words. Then develop a strong foundation in their mother language. Appreciate their mother language and contribute to the development of our cultural and historical heritage. Then more proud to be a Filipino. Then we have the course structure, the MTB-MLE curriculum framework. So, mother tongue-based multilingual education is the government's banner program for education as a salient part of the implementation of the K-12 basic education program. Its significance is underscored by the passing of Republic Act 10523, otherwise known as the Enhanced Basic Education of 2013. Then, MTBMLE is education, formal or non-formal, in which the learner's mother tongue and additional languages are used in classroom. So, learners begin their education in the language they understand best. So, para ganyan gingon, ato is Bisaya. Then, their mother tongue and develop a strong foundation in their mother language before adding additional languages. So research stresses the fact that children with a solid foundation in their mother tongue develop stronger literacy abilities in the school language. So their knowledge and skills transfer across languages. This bridge enables the learners to use both or all their languages for success in school and for lifelong learning. In terms of cognitive development, the school activities will engage learners to move well beyond the basic WH questions to cover all higher order thinking skills and learn a first language which they can transfer to the other languages once enough Filipino or English has been acquired to use these skills in thinking and articulating thoughts. With the end goal of making Filipino children lifelong learners in their first language or mother tongue, second language, Filipino the national language, and third language, English, the global language, the learners are more than prepared to develop the competencies in the different learning areas. So this will help as their passport to enter and achieve well in the mainstream educational system and in the end contribute productively to their community and to the larger society as well as multiliterate, and multicultural citizens of the country. For the effective implementation of the MTBMLE, it is suggested that the two-track method be used, that is the primer track to focus on accuracy and the story track to focus on meaning. Learning via the two-track method to gain proficiency in literacy as well as comprehend academic content and gain curriculum mastery, creative and critical thinking skills for decisive decision making. So the MTBMLE provides literacy. So we only learn to read once. Learning to read in the first language develops skills that transfer to reading any other languages. Comprehension in reading other languages only occurs after oral proficiency has developed such vocabulary and of the written second language text is already part of the learner's spoken vocabulary. Then prior knowledge. So engaging learners in a discussion of what is already familiar to them using the home language and culture enables better. Then learning of the curriculum through integration and application of that knowledge into current knowledge schemes. Then cognitive development and higher order thinking skills. Using the learner's mother tongue provides a strong foundation by developing cognitive skills and comprehension of the academic content from day one. So the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values gained through the mother tongue better support learning of other languages and learning through other languages later. So as learners articulate their thoughts and expand ideas, both language and critical thinking are strengthened. MTBMLE cultivates critical thinking through talking about ideas in the familiar language. When teaching only in the second language, critical thinking is postponed and the second language is sufficiently developed to support such analysis. Then strong bridge. MTBMLE provides a good bridge to listening, speaking, and reading and writing. So the second languages, the L2 and L3 of the classroom, using sound educational principles for building fluency and confidence in using the other languages for lifelong learning. Reading in the L2 is only introduced after basic first language, reading fluency, and second language oral proficiency are developed. Comprehension in reading the second language occurs after the development of that spoken second language. So once sufficient oral and written proficiency in the second language are developed, A gradual transition to using the second language as medium of instruction can progress without first language support. Scaffolding. So in L2, teaching the first language is used to support learning when the second language is not sufficiently developed to be used alone. So the first language is used for expression, and the teacher facilitates the development of the second language to enable learners to adequately express ideas in the second language. So in this way, the first language strengthens the learning of the second language by supporting the second language development for communication. Then, teaching for meaning and accuracy. Then, decoding text requires accuracy. So, while comprehending text requires decoding skills within a meaningful context, both meaning and accuracy are important. But in classrooms that teach only second language, there is often primary focus on accuracy until the second language is sufficiently learned. This delays actual meaningful learning until the second language can support that learning. And confidence building and proficiency develop for two or more languages along the following macro skills: the listening, speaking, reading, writing, and viewing for both meaning and accuracy. Then the following standards illustrate teaching for meaning and accuracy. You have the study track. Study track focus on meaning, then primary track focus on correctness. Focus on correctness. Then listening. For listening, listen in order to understand. Think critically. Respond creatively. That is in story track. Then in primer track, listening, recognize and distinguish sounds, recognize parts of words. Then speaking. In story track, speak with understanding to communicate knowledge, ideas, and experiences. Then in primer track, speaking, use correct vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Reading. Then in story track, read with understanding to apply, analyze, evaluate, and to create new knowledge. Then in primer track, decode by recognizing parts of words, sentences. Then writing. Write to communicate knowledge, ideas, experiences, and goals. Then in primer track, form letters properly and neatly. Spell words accurately. Use correct grammar. Then last is viewing. In story track, view in order to understand, think critically, respond creatively. And in primer track, recognize and distinguish print and non-materials and be able to critique the materials objectively. Then, guiding principles for teaching and learning in MTBMLE. Principle 1 is known to the unknown. So, learning requires meaning. We learn when we use what we already know to help us understand what is new. So the most important single factor influencing learning is what the learner already knows. So ascertain this and teach him or her accordingly. So, ang application dani is start with what the learners already know about a topic and use that to introduce the new concept, beginning with the learner's first language and culture will be better facilitate mastery of the curriculum content. Then, second language. Learners use what they know in their language to help develop other languages. This positive transfer effect has been found to be significant in reading. So, ang application sa second language is develop an awareness of how the first language works to support learning the second language and third language. Then, principle 2, language and academic development. Students with well-developed skills in the first language have been shown to acquire additional languages more easily and fully, and that in turn has a positive impact on academic achievement. So application in this is continue the oral development of first language and begin reading in first language to strengthen second language and third language learning, as well as academic achievement across curriculum. Then, principle 3, the cognitive development. Students who use their multilingual skills have been shown to develop both cognitive flexibility and divergent thinking. So, in application for this is continue developing critical thinking in the first language as well as in second language and third language. So, higher order thinking skills. When we truly learn something, we can explain it, apply it, evaluate it, and use it to create new ideas and information. So, application for this is in all subjects, focus on activities that build understanding and that encourage students to apply, analyze, and evaluate what they have learned to create new knowledge. Then, remember, repeat what we hear or read. Then, understand, explain what we hear or read. Then, apply, use what we hear or read. Then, analyze, examine what we learn to discover patterns. Then, evaluate, assess what we hear or read. Then, create, use what we learn to discover, invent, and create. Then, principle 4, discovery learning. We learn when someone who already understands the new ideas or tasks help us to discover the new idea and the new ideas and then use it meaningfully. So, application, find out what the students already know about a topic. Then provide activities that let them use their knowledge to learn the new concept or task. Then, principle 5, active learning. Per interaction, children learn best through per interactions with which they work together creatively to solve problems. Then, second language, active learning. Young children gain confidence in learning a new language when they begin with hear, see, do. Then, purposeful talk. Talking helps us make sense of new ideas and information. So, ask a lot of higher level questions and give students time to think and then respond. Then provide plenty of opportunities for students to work in teams, sharing and comparing their ideas. Then principle 6, meaning and accuracy. Successful language learning involves hearing, speaking, reading, and writing activities that focus on both meaning and accuracy. So application for this is include plenty of activities that focus on both meaning and accuracy. Then principle 7, language learning or language transfer. We learn a new language best when the learning process is non-threatening and meaningful. So when we can take small steps that help us gain confidence in our ability to use the language meaningfully. Then principle 8, affective component. Valuing the home language or culture. So valuing students with talents in their home language or more powerfully enables learning than just valuing learners of English whose home language is irrelevant to academic. So application for this is learners are encouraged when they know they are valued in classroom and their language and heritage are seen as resources. Then the classroom environment. Children from ethno-linguistic language groups thrive in a welcoming environment in which teachers and peers value them as positive presence in the classroom and the school. So encourage their use of first language. Provide books, visual representations, and concrete objects that reflect their backgrounds and interests. Then, learning area standard. Use mother tongue appropriately and effectively in oral, visual, and written communication in a variety of situations and for a variety of audiences, contexts, and purposes, including learning of other content, subjects, and languages. Demonstrate appreciation of various forms of literacy genres and take pride in one's cultural heritage. Then key stage standard when the K2 3. So by the end of grade 3, students will enjoy communicating in their first language on familiar topics for a variety of purposes and audiences using basic vocabulary and phrases. Read first language texts with understanding and create their own stories and texts in their first language. Then grade level standards. The grade level, we have the kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. Then grade level standards. The learner demonstrates skills and strategies in phonemic awareness, alphabet knowledge, sound, letter, correspondences, decoding, vocabulary, and comprehension as they enjoy listening and responding to a variety of texts in their mother language. Then in grade 1, the learner demonstrates basic communication skills in talking about familiar topics using simple words and both verbal and nonverbal cues to understand spoken language. Shows understanding of basic vocabulary and language structure, reading process, writing systems, and appreciates aspects of one's culture. Then in grade 2, the learner demonstrates communication skills in talking about variety of topics using developing vocabulary and simple phrases and sentences. simple to complex spoken language using both verbal and nonverbal cues, understanding vocabulary and language structure, appreciates and understands the cultural aspects of the language and writing system used, and reads and writes simple and short literacy and information text. Then in grade 3, the learner demonstrates communication skills in talking about variety of topics using expanding vocabulary and phrases, shows understanding of spoken language in different contexts using both verbal and nonverbal cues, vocabulary and language structure, cultural aspects of language, reads and writes literacy and information text. Then grade 1, grade level standard. The learner demonstrates knowledge and skills in listening and communicating about familiar topics, uses basic vocabulary, reads and writes independently in meaningful contexts, appreciates his or her culture. Then, domain. We have the content standard. Domain, content standard, and performance standard. So, the domain, first domain is oral language. In content standard, the learner manifests beginning oral language skills to communicate in different contexts. Then in performance standard, the learner uses beginning oral language skills to communicate personal experiences, ideas, and feelings in different contexts. Then, second domain is phonological skills. In content standard, the learner demonstrates understanding that words are made up of sounds and syllables. In performance standard, the learner uses knowledge of phonological skills to discriminate and manipulate sound patterns. Then, third domain, book and print knowledge. In content standard, the learner demonstrates understanding of the basic features of a book and how print works as a prerequisite of reading. Then in performance standard, the learner demonstrates knowledge and understanding of the organizational and basic features of print. Then, phonics and word recognition. In content standard, the learner demonstrates knowledge of alphabet and decoding to read, write, and spell words correctly. In performance standard, applies grade level phonics and word analysis skills in reading, writing, and spelling words. Then fluency. Demonstrate the ability to read grade 1 level text with sufficient accuracy, speed, and expression to support comprehension. Then in performance standard, the learner reads with sufficient speed, accuracy, and proper expression in reading grade level text. Then another domain is composing. In content standard, the learner demonstrates the ability to formulate ideas into sentences or longer text using developmental and conventional spelling. Then in performance standard, uses basic knowledge and skills to write clear, coherent sentences and simple paragraphs based on a variety of stimulus materials. Then, grammar awareness. So, the learner demonstrates awareness of language grammar and usage when speaking and or writing. Then, in performance standard, speaks and or writes correctly for different purposes using the basic grammar of the language. Then, vocabulary and concept development. The Demonstrate developing knowledge and use of appropriate grade level vocabulary and concepts. Then listening comprehension. Demonstrate understanding of grade level narrative and information text. So comprehends and appreciate grade level narrative and informational text. Then reading comprehension. So in content standard, the learner demonstrate understanding of grade level narrative and informational text. In performance standard, uses literacy and narrative text to develop comprehension and appreciation of grade level appropriate reading materials. Then attitude towards reading. Demonstrate positive attitudes towards language literacy and literature. Then values reading and writing as communicative activities. Then study skills. Demonstrate basic knowledge and skills to listen, learn, and write for specific purposes. Then listen, reads, and writes for specific purposes. Then we have the learning areas and time allotment. Learning areas, we have language arts, mother tongue, Filipino, English, science, mathematics, aralin panlipunan, EPP or TLE, ESP, and time allotment, number of minutes daily. This is from grade 1 to grade 6. So grade 1, first sem, we have language art is 50 minutes. Then mother tongue is 30 minutes. Mathematics is 50 minutes. Aralin panlipunan is 40 minutes. MAPE, 40 minutes. ESP, 30 minutes. In total of 240 minutes per sem. Then grade 2, second sem, mother tongue is 50 minutes. Filipino is 30. English, 30. Mathematics, 30. Aralin panlipunan is 40 minutes. MAPE, 40 minutes. ESP, 30 minutes. So, total of 270 minutes. Then, grade 3, mother tongue is 50 minutes. Then, Filipino, 50 minutes. English, 50 minutes. Mathematics, 50 minutes. Aralin panlipunan, 40 minutes. Then, MAPE, 40 minutes. And ESP, 30 minutes. Total of 310 minutes. Then, grade 4, mother tongue, 50 minutes. Filipino, 50 minutes. English, 50 minutes. Science, 50 minutes. Mathematics, 50 minutes. Aralin panlipunan, 40 minutes. MAPE, 40 minutes. And ESP, 30 minutes. Total of 360 minutes. Then grade 5, Filipino is 50 minutes. English, 50. As well as science, 50 minutes. And also mathematics. Aralin panlipunan is 40. ESP or TLE is 50 minutes. MAPE is 40 minutes. And ESP is 30 minutes. Total of 360 minutes. Then grade 6, Filipino is 50. As well as English, science, and mathematics. Then Aralin panlipunan, 40. ESP or TLE, 50. Then MAPE, 40. And ESP, 30. Total of 360 minutes. We have the teaching methods and strategies. So, the teaching method and strategies to be used in this new mother tongue curriculum is one-on-one teaching and tutoring by teacher to students, especially students who needs tutoring. Then one-on-one reading by teacher and student in order to determine if the student really understand the mother tongue. Then game activities like puzzles, card games, and tracing. Then, assessment and evaluation, creating assignments, creating exams using classroom assessment techniques, using concept maps, using concept tests, assessing group work, and creating and using rubrics. Then, this will be the rubric used in evaluating learners' oral performance. We have name, title of work, and directions. Check the appropriate box to access the pupil's performance. Then we have here the legend, numerical value, always 90% and above, frequently 85.89%, occasional 80.84%, seldom 75.79%, and never 74% below. Resources and materials, textbooks, pictures or illustrations, TV, worksheets, curriculum and lesson plans, alphabet charts and instructional materials, dictionaries, online educational videos. Then, schedule and timeline. So, from January, February, March. So, in January, plan the process. Then, establish the vision of the curriculum. February, develop the rubric and prepare for reviews. Then, March, review, pilot, and decide. Then, April, procure and distribute materials. So, the orange color is the phase 1. Then, phase 2, the blue color. In April, set goals, rules, and monitor the plan. Then, May, determine the plan for assessment and grading. And determine expectations for use and the plan for collaborative planning. Then in June, determine the plan for coaching and determine the plan for training teachers and leaders. Then phase 3, color green. August, work the plan and gather data. October, step back and adjust. Then January, step back and adjust. And May, annually reset. Then curriculum implementation timeline with pilot of new materials. Phase 1, the color orange. August, plan your process. September, establish the vision. October, develop the rubric and prepare for reviews. And November to March, review, pilot, and decide. And phase 2, April, set goals, rules, and monitor the plan. Then determine the plan for assessment and grading and determine expectations for use and the plan for collaborative planning. Then June, determine the plan for coaching and determine the plan for training teachers and learners. Then phase 3, August, work the plan and gather data. Then step back and adjust. And step back and adjust also until January. Then learning support. So the learning support in this curriculum is tutoring service to students who need it and distribute study guides of MTB to the students. Then adaptation and flexibility. So curriculum adaptations, it is important to correlate adaptations with the IEP. So in other words, we are not adapting for adaptation's sake, but to meet the student's needs as identified on IEP. Then, adaptation and flexibility. Then curriculum, A is curriculum as is. So this is the type we forget mostly frequently. So we need to constantly be looking at the general education curriculum and asking if the students on IEPs may gain benefit from participating the curriculum as is. And we need to keep in mind that incidental learning does occur. Curriculum as is supports outcomes as identified in standard curriculum. Then B, different objective within the same activity and curriculum. So the student with an IEP works with all other students in the classroom participating in the activity when possible, but with a different learning objective from the other students. So there were the principle of partial participation fits. So example include a student with a short attention span staying on task for 5 minutes, then using a switch to active communication, a device to share during a class discussion, then expressing one's thought by drawing in a journal instead of writing, then holding a book during reading time, then understand the effect of World War II has on the present rather than knowing names and dates of key battles, then material or environmental adaptations, then providing physical assistance and alternative or substitute curriculum. Then last is the curriculum evaluation. So methods for evaluating curriculum effectiveness. So there are several methods that curriculum developers can use to evaluate the effectiveness of their curriculum, including analyzing assessment results. So one of the most common methods for evaluating curriculum effectiveness is analyzing assessment results. This involves looking at the results of tests, quizzes, and other assessment to see how learners are performing. So if learners are struggling in a particular area, it may be an indication that changes need to be made to the curriculum. Then second is collecting feedback from learners and teachers. So another method for evaluating is curriculum effectiveness is collecting feedback from learners and teachers. This can be done through surveys, focus groups, or individual interviews. Feedback can be used to identify areas where the curriculum is working well and areas where improvement can be made. Then third is conducting research studies. So research studies can also be used to evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum. So these can involve comparing the performance of learners who have gone through the curriculum to those who have not, or comparing the performance of learners who have gone through different versions of curriculum. Then fourth is observing classroom instruction. Curriculum developers can also evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum by observing classroom instruction. This can provide insight into how well the curriculum is being implemented and whether changes need to be made to the curriculum or the instruction. Then using evaluation curriculum results to improve the curriculum. So once the curriculum has been evaluated, the results can be used to make improvements to the curriculum. So some ways that evaluation results can be used to improve the curriculum include making changes to the curriculum content. So anhing curriculum nga akong gigama. So if the learners are struggling in a particular area, changes can be made to the curriculum content to be better support their learning. Then second is making changes to the instructional strategy. So if ang instructional strategy nga gibutang noon ning curriculum is not effective. So if classroom observations indicate that instruction needs to be improved, changes can be made to instructional strategies to better support learning. Then, provide professional development for teachers. If evaluation results indicate that teachers need an additional support, professional development can be provided to help them better implement the curriculum. Then, revising learning outcomes. So, if evaluation results of this curriculum indicate that the learning outcomes are not being achieved, then revisions can made to the learning outcomes to better align with curriculum. So, that is all about my presentation about the curriculum design. And thank you and God bless.